Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. I think this needs no introduction. We have been doing this for the past 3 years, 3 years on the trot. City again. Not a fan of the draw, but I guess when you're dealt a hand, you gotta basically play the game. Um, but we may get tired of City, but one man we can't get tired of is Big Steve. I would like to extend our warmest welcomes to Big Steve again. 3 years on the trot. The people tuning in, people who have been following us from day one, know what Big Steve is about. Um, he has been our biggest well wisher. Like I always reiterate on the channel, when we come across something good in life, Big Steve is the first person I hit up, and yeah, bro, talk to me, and good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for the welcome. Enjoy it. Yeah, we seem to be meeting every time this year. I might as well buy an apartment in Madrid now. I'm sick of it. But yeah, we've had some good times. We've had some bad times, both of us. So we meet again. We'll see how it goes.
It's 1-1 on the tie as well, overall, ever since we kind of started linking up. So I think this has everything in its recipe to be a cracker. Welcome my esteemed co-panel as well, usual suspects Mo and Farouk. I hope you guys are doing well, man. Mo, talk to me. What's the vibe like? City again. We were dreading it. You run from it. City and us. It's just destined to always lock horns.
I mean, all good things come in threes, I guess. So there has to be a third time. I'm excited to have Big Steve here, as you are, as Farouk is, as everybody on the panel is, and as everybody behind the scenes is. But man, Big Steve, I remember watching you take everybody on the overlap. I think you were going one-on-one with Gary Neville and Jimmy Carragher and 19 other Premier League teams. So that was kind of it was kind of a surreal moment for me, because here we are talking to you, and the next moment probably you're going to be talking to big guys like Neville and Carragher and God knows who. So
yeah, but you guys are the best, man. You guys are the best.
I mean, it is your humbleness that you are here, taking time out to help us out. So
let's not feed his ego much, but we know what Big Steve is about.
I think you kind of need to inflate the balloon to deflate it. So it's fun.
Fair enough. Okay. You're basically prepping him up.
But man, but it's straight from the heart, man. Like Big Steve, Sunat keeps saying it, and everybody else also on the panel shares this view. You've been a great help to us, so thanks for everything.
No, it's good to see the channel leveling up. I've seen your guy out in Madrid. I've spoke to him. Hopefully he's going to come and meet us on Monday, Tuesday, and get the reaction for you guys, of the fans and that. So it's good to see you leveling up. Like you say, the channel's growing, and you're doing well, man. I told you to keep going, innit? I told you to keep going. It's hard. A lot of people throw the towel in and don't, sometimes you're going to get a little bit flat and feel like it's not going your way, but you've just got to keep going, man. Keep going, because I said when I first came on that you guys have got something special. I say it on most of my podcasts. I mention you guys. I say I went on a Real Madrid podcast once. I said, and it's the best podcast I ever been on, and I've been on a lot, and I've been up with some famous people, but I feel like you got to keep to yourself, keep real, keep genuine. You know what I mean? And I went on a podcast the other day on the Big Six, and you know me, I say how it is. I don't say it for trolling. And I told them, I said, Arsenal came and they parked the bus. Whoa, you should have seen it. It was like a bomb had gone off. 92 super chats in 10 minutes. And it's crazy. But listen, that's just how I believe. And just stick to your guns. If you really genuinely believe it, no matter what anybody else says, that's your opinion, and you can have it. So just keep being real, keep doing your thing, and keep going, man.
Yeah,
100%. Big words. Big words.
If I may, subtweet him, I would say keep being real. So
let's be real.
Keep being real, 100%. Like I always go back to many instances, since we started doing this podcast, where Steve has basically told me that, yeah, man, like you guys would face obstacles here and there, but it shouldn't discourage you. It shouldn't like keep you away from what you love doing the most. And yeah, man, he is basically a godfather at this point. I would like to say, last year I basically called him the honorary member of the podcast. I think a godfather figure fits fits the bill a bit more perfectly. But yeah, man, Farouk, talk to us. What's the feeling like? Just 3 days away from the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, man, that's the thing. It's you to win stuff. You either have to face Real Madrid or Man City have also brought themselves to a situation that to win you just have to face one of these two teams, and it's great. And if the tie brings us Big Steve, man, I mean, yeah, it's a hard tie on the pitch, but outside of the pitch, it's always great having Big Steve on board. So yeah, more let it continue like this, man. Having Big Steve every time, twice a year, it's I think it's a big thing for us, and
It's a ritual almost at this point.
exactly, and it's a big game anyway. So like the thing is, it's Real Madrid. Like we're not gonna come here and be like, yeah, we don't want to play the big games, man. This is what we are born for, actually. So yeah, it's
100%.
just it's City that's learning how to play the big games. They've shown that they can make up with the big boys. Let's see if they can hang with the big boys forever. It's one thing to do it once, but like, can you do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times? Let's see.
See.
Fair enough. Go on, Steve.
No, yeah, we're here. We're here at the top table. We fell short a few times. We experienced it in the Bernabeu. We were 1 minute away, thinking we were going to Paris, and the next minute it was all doom and gloom, man. So, but last year we came, stuck to our guns, we relaxed, we got the point, and we led you into the trap, the Etihad trap, where everybody thinks it's no fans, it's crap. We said, okay, let's see. We came there, we thought, yeah, we're going to do it. And then I don't think I've seen anyone ever play like that against Real Madrid in the Champions League game, ever. It was just non-stop. And we got the job done. Then we had to go to Wembley to play Man United in the FA Cup. We done that. And then we was all system go Istanbul for the treble. And we made history that night. We finally got it over the line. We got the trophy we always wanted. And I think a lot of teams now respect Manchester City, the players, the 11 players on the pitch, respect Pep Guardiola and think, you know what, they're a good side. And this season, we're not playing particularly well. I know looking at the league table, we're only a couple of points off. And, you think, yeah. But we've been struggling with the link-up play. Certain players coming back from injury. Kevin De Bruyne, 6 months out. Erling Haaland, 2 months out. And last year was a little bit more fluid than it is this year. There's a kind of feeling like there's something missing. You get a little bit frustrated. Last game, he dropped Kevin and Erling. We won 4-1 and we looked a lot more fluid. So there's a discussion around Manchester City at the minute. Are we better with Kevin, without Kevin and Haaland in the team? I mean, I personally don't think we are. I think we need them, the quality. I think in this competition, you need quality, dangerous players. But I think it's going to be a different game. I think Real Madrid last year, we caught them cold and we sort of tricked them into it. And I think they didn't expect it. They know now. They know now that, yeah, Man City's going to go to the Bernabeu first leg. We're going to try and not get beat. Nick 1-0, 0-0 do us. We're going to try and get you back to the Etihad and try and win the game there. I think that's a sensible option. I think if we go gung-ho in the Bernabeu, try and beat you there, we could get caught out. We could, because we are a bit susceptible, is it?
Susceptible, yeah.
To counter-attacks, I think, this season. I think a team that is brave, this is what my point was with Arsenal, came to the Etihad and parked 2 banks of 5 and got a point and then tried to say it was a masterclass. I believe that if any team is brave, which I think Real Madrid will be, they could get a lot of joy out of us. So we've got to be 100% focused.
Yeah, bravery is one thing that I would ask of Carlo. Like, obviously, like when it comes to that tie, like we wouldn't count our chances against anyone, right? Like, but when it comes to Pep's City, we have seen Carlo resort to sort of this conservative approach, and it has backfired on more than one occasion. And that's one thing that I wouldn't like my team, seeing execute personally. But to kind of get into the equation of the tie, before I do that, Farouk was going on and something came to my head. Farouk, right? Like Big Steve's schedule was kind of iffy, right? Like we didn't really know like if we could do it today or would it be tomorrow or something. But the moment I told Steve that Farouk has a flight to catch on Saturday, he was like, nah, let's do it tonight. Let's do it today. Let's get it over with. And he was super on board to basically make Farouk's schedule easy. So you get the gist, right? Big Steve is the community man, just like like what like Chris claims to be as well.
If I may say,
Yeah.
Big Steve is a good citizen.
A good citizen.
Pardon the pun, but yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Big Steve, man. Really appreciate it, honestly. And, it just
No
fits into
problem,
the
man.
direction of the humility that that Mo was talking about, man. Like, you're the real G, man. Honestly, like, considering the things. That's the thing. Like, what we watch on TV is basically Big Steve, and then like here it is, on our, like we laymen, like who are we? Nobody's basically, and yeah, here we are.
He's not so big anymore.
You had a few guys on. You got Grizz came on, did he? Who else came on? You've had some good names on the podcast.
Matisse came on. Saeed came on.
There you go. See?
Yeah, a couple of journals came on. Hopefully, Turkish around the corner sometime in the future. Hopefully.
Turkish will come on, no problem. Anyone that you want, I can try my best. It's very hard to get older people these days,
100%.
And get hold of them. You do get a lot of messages. I get a lot of messages. My downfall is I try and speak to people, but sometimes it backfires because you can spend the whole night talking to people about football and it's just not productive.
I know. Like you personally kind of tried to step away from the big six because of like you wanted to spend more time with your family and whatnot. So yeah, 100% agree with how hectic it can get, man. But one thing that I would like to question Big Steve is on considering the warm embraces that we have had over the years and how fondly we talk of each other. I didn't see any kind of warmth after the second leg last season. That is in complete contrast to last year when we bet you at the Bernabeu. Like I was very quick to actually send you a message. I think you were still at the stadium when you got that message. I vividly remember I told you, Steve, we got the win, but your time is around the corner. Your time will come. So I was in a way basically extending my hand to you. But what did you do in return last season? You put up a story basically claiming that I told you so. So I wonder, Steve, where is all the love? To be honest.
Do you know how brave it is for a Manchester City supporter to come on a Real Madrid podcast and tell you we were going to beat you 4-0? Do you know how brave that is? People were saying I was stupid. People were saying you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Manchester City would never do this. This is Real Madrid. This is Real Madrid. But yourself, when you have a little bit of a feeling in your chest, I thought, you know what? I feel like we're going to do it, something special. And I didn't want to rub it in. So I just left you guys to it. I knew you'd be upset. So I just backed away, enjoyed my moment, and got ready for the treble. I left you guys stewing on last year's comments and thinking, you know what, we don't want to go in against Big Steve again like that because we.
You left us alone after that story. To be honest, you didn't even say better luck next time or something. I know better luck next time is kind of tongue in cheek, but some good words. But it's all good. It's all good because we have payback in our checkbook.
Think about the respect. I don't need to rub it in. I'm not rubbing it in with Real Madrid. I know what Real Madrid have done.
Fair enough.
So I just take my win and we move on. Because listen, if you start to take the mick, it could come back and bite. We could have got beat off Inter Milan and you guys could have been straight back on me. Big Steve, Champions League badge. You've not won it. All that nonsense. So I'm just trying to be nice and respectful.
Like I'm not sure, guys. Mo and Farouk, I need you guys to chime in as well. Like, do you guys see a twinkle in Steve's eye? Because 2 years ago when he was on the very same podcast, right? Like he didn't have that about him. That smirk on his face. He really didn't have it before.
A guy Big Steve is probably very thankful for is Romelu Lukaku. He kind of helped them out in the final last year. Otherwise, like Big Steve said, the hell would have come to pay for, and all the big sharks would have been eaten. So he got lucky.
There you go. Inter Milan really gave them a hard time. Like I didn't expect that match to go down the way it did, to be honest.
Nervous. It was a very nervous energy in the stadium. I could feel it. Both the Inter and the City fans were very nervous. And like you say, I think it filtered down to a lot of players. When Kevin De Bruyne went off injured, I think City were thinking Porto. He went off injured in Porto. He's going to go off here. We're going to get beat 1-0. But like you say, when you see Romelu Lukaku just doing his best to miss, it's your night, man. It's your night.
There you go. There you go.
No, but like,
But yeah,
in all honesty, I
go.
guess like City were deserved winners last year. Beating Real Madrid 4-0. I mean, after that, you kind of deserve to win it. If Inter Milan would have won it, I think it would have been a little bit anticlimactic. So I guess
100%.
congratulations, to
We
Big
beat
Steve
Bayern
and-
Munich 4-1 on aggregate. We beat Real Madrid 4-1 on aggregate. Everyone said you've got the toughest draw. There's no way City's getting to the final. You've got to get past Bayern and Real Madrid. And we did it. And we still had the Premier League to win and the FA Cup against United. And United could have stopped our treble. Now, to them, that was more important than winning the FA Cup because they were thinking, we just got to stop this treble. This treble in English football is like the big thing, you know what I mean? It's like never been done. Only United's done it. They're never going to win the treble. And then the fact that we won the treble and beat them on the way and beat Bayern Munich and beat Real Madrid and beat Inter Milan, then you got to respect it. You've just got to respect it. And like you say, this season's been a lot easier. I've not had everyone saying, yeah, where's your Champions League? You'll never be respected. People are like, okay, yeah, fair enough. So all these grounds we used to go to and they sing, where's your European Cup? You'll never win this, you never win that. All them daft songs they used to sing to me, especially.
But Steve, talk to me about the feeling though. Finally, the monkey's out the back, right? Like you didn't really used to rate the Champions League very highly,
No.
like a couple of years ago. But now you know why it's so coveted.
Oh yeah, definitely. The feeling I got, it was one of relief. Being stood in the stadium with a lot of my friends I've travelled for years with. My uncle was there who used to take us when we were kids. And just to share that moment with them, got goosebumps now, my hands coming up because I'm talking about it. It was a nice moment, a nice relief. And then the next day, the actual night of Istanbul was horrendous because they can't organise nothing there. So the travel and the getting out of the stadium, and it ruined it for a lot of people. But the next morning when I had a night's sleep, didn't get much sleep, to be fair, was so excited. I woke up the next day and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go into Istanbul and I'm going to do a bit of shopping and relax. I went into Istanbul and it was like a party, mate. Everyone was still there. And that was when I really got to enjoy it and really felt it, you know what I mean? And I seen all the newspapers in the stand when I walked past the shop and we had Man City on the back, Gundogan with a European Cup. And I was like, this is what we dreamed of, you know what I mean? This is what we dreamed of. And as a City fan for as long as I've been, and like you say, been to the places I've been, and the lows where I felt like, this football club, man, it's killing me. And then to go from them days to now, and to experience that, like when you're a kid growing up, and you, especially in Manchester, when you was like Man United was on the TV, Champions League nights, and you hear the music and the lineup, and the camera goes down the lineup, and I'd sit watching it at home, and I'd think, well, one day I just wanted to hear that music. And we played in it for the first time a few years ago under Mancini. I was so excited when I heard the music, like so excited. It
hits different.
It done something, like it hit me, like, and then I thought, right. And then when I started thinking, I'm just happy to be there. And then we started getting late in the rounds and missing out. And I thought, you know what? We might actually get this over the line. You know what I mean? It might be a matter of time. And then now, I mean, people say, would you rather win the Premier League for the fourth time in a row, which has never been done, or would you rather win the Champions League again? And for me, it's the Champions League because a year ago, it would have been the Premier League all day, but I just feel that the Champions League hits different. You don't realise how hard it is to win. And you can only dine out on 4 Premier Leagues for a couple of weeks, but you can dine out back-to-back Champions League for a long time, especially for a club like Manchester City, when they all took us, that puts us one behind Man United if we win it again. Do you know what I mean? And
that's mad. That's mad.
You're mad to see. And don't forget, growing up, Man United, we've won X amount of Premier Leagues. Okay. We've won the treble. And we've won the Champions League and all that. And then we're there. We've won trebles. We've won the Champions League. So we're doing our own thing. But like you guys said, the Champions League, it does hit different, man. When I walked in your shop, the day after the game at the Bernabeu, I went into the stadium tour. It's been redeveloped. You've seen it, haven't you? That massive case with 14 Champions Leagues in and all the things. It's fucking unbelievable, man. I was just like, I stood there just looking at it for like 20 minutes. And I was like, I was sending the pictures back to my son. I was like, watch this. And then the music comes on and that. And he was like, wow. And I was like, that is how you realise. These Liverpool fans putting 6 fingers up to me. Oh, 6 times and all that. Go to Real Madrid, yeah, and walk in that shop. Yeah, and it'll hit you different than 6, mate. 14, then Ballon d'Ors and all that. I've seen in there. There's all sorts of mad shit going on in there. But no, honestly, the Champions League, you've got to respect it when you're in it and you're deep in it. I mean, these Arsenal fans are saying to me, "We'll see you in the semi-final and all that." I'm thinking, don't underestimate Bayern Munich, and you definitely do not want to be underestimating Real Madrid if you have to go there, because we've done that, and it bites you on the ass.
There you go. Like, one thing that I would take away from all that happened last season, obviously, was a bit of a heartbreak, but the very fact that Steve actually was happy, and then it like, I could see it in your eyes, in your pictures, after the final, that it took at least like 5-6 years of your age, just right at the bat. So yeah, it was super heartwarming to see that.
He's calling you old, so I don't know how you wanna.
No.
Look,
You guys are twisting my words.
I kept the beard on now. I've lost a little bit of weight. Been trying to relax a little bit, but no, last year was it was just unbelievable. Yeah, I could feel it with the fans. Like, we're just on this journey where same people meeting in different countries, going for it, winning games, doing this, doing that. I was doing the podcast, and we sort of built a bit of momentum, and people have never experienced it. They can't tell you. People say, "Oh, he's talking shit, and he thinks he's part of the team," and I'm like, "Hold on a minute, we won the treble. The players pulled me in the party with the players. I'm stood there with Erling Haaland's medals around my neck and Jack Grealish trying to tip vodka in my mouth, and I don't even drink. And I'm thinking, is this a dream? Have we just won the treble? And I'm sat here with Pep's eating chips, and Gundogan says, "Hello, Steve," so he knew my name. Foden was all over me and that, and I just thought it was a dream, man, and I couldn't believe it. And like you say, you get the haters and that, but for a Manchester City fan who's grew up as a City fan all his life, to be in a treble party with the trophies and get to work for the club and that, like I've done this year, it's just an unbelievable dream for me. You know what I mean? I do it, I just try to be an ambassador for Manchester City and the fans. The fans say, if the fans keep saying to me, "Steve, we love what you're doing, keep defending City, keep going, mate," then I keep going. If they say to me, "Steve, you're talking shit, we don't like what you're saying, sack it," I'd turn it off tomorrow and you'd never see me again. So I don't do it for money, financial gain. I do it because I feel like Man City fans never had a voice online. People used to take the mick out of them a bit and say, "Oh, Man City plastic club," and that. But no one can say that to me, you know what I mean? And I'm on there to tell people that, yeah, Man City might not have this great rich history in that, but I tell you what, the history they've created in the last 10 years is better than a lot of big clubs now.
100%. You can't take away anything from what City has achieved over the past few years. And like, I don't know if you remember, Steve, the very first time we actually did a preview, I did mention that what PSG has done and what City has done, if you compare it and basically like put forth what each team has achieved over the span of their basically like modern relevance, you could see that City has basically put their money where their mouth is, and went on with their business, and conquered Europe, conquered England, basically shut everyone up. Yeah, man, fair play to you guys.
PSG's model, and they went and got Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, and we didn't do that. We didn't get them players. We got players that were just under that radar. Erling Haaland's a superstar. We signed him. But before that, there was no, Kevin De Bruyne was at Wolfsburg. Yaya Toure, nobody wanted him. You know what I mean? Vincent Kompany, nobody heard of him. Zabaleta, nobody heard of him. These are the players that they stepped up. They bought into a project and they got him. PSG spent horrendous amounts of money and they've come nowhere. They got to a final, but they've not. They never looked like winning it. They never looked like winning it. And I know Stuart, the PSG fan, Parisian London. I don't know if you've seen him, and a good guy. And they're very enriched in the culture of the fans. And they were like, our club's like Disneyland, Steve. It's like Disneyland. He said they care all about Jordan shirts and collabs with Armani and all this stuff. He said, and us as supporters, we're pushed to the side. And I can tell you something now, Manchester City's getting a little bit like that. Not with the collabs and that, but the City fans, the hardcore of the club, the heartbeat of the club that's been there for generations, is starting to get a little bit pissed off with certain things. But it's a double-edged sword. If you win the treble and you win Champions League, people want to come and see you. You get it at Real Madrid, you only have to go outside the ground when the coach comes in to see everyone's the love of football. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I feel like clubs need to have a balance.
the amount of seats they basically sell off to the rich guys are insane. Even at the Bernabeu, I've heard that people, the common man, it's really hard for them to go and watch their team play.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening at City now. They're getting these off-site dining plans where you spend $500-$600, whatever pounds, and you can have a meal into Manchester. You get in a limousine bus thing, and they take you to the ground. You get a program, and it's fine if they're there to support the club. But what we're finding is in our main ultra section around the back of the goal, we're finding people stood there with iPads, finding people stood there vlogging, and it's like, it's not going down well. People are getting assaulted because of it, because it's like, who are you? What are you doing in here? And I feel like this new section City are building on the opposite end, I've got a feeling that they're going to absolutely maximise the customer potential and sell them as like package seats, with meals and stuff like this. But
VIP boxes, basically, right?
It's modern day football. If you've got an Erling Haaland, people want to see him, and it's not. People think, oh, you're having a go at tourist fans. It's not having a go at tourist fans. I speak to lots and lots of fans, and if they love Manchester City, it's great. But it's just that, it's a lot of the older school guys don't like it. You know what I mean? They don't like change. You know that yourself. It's hard work. But I feel like at City now, with the FFP rules in England, you've got to get your turnover up. So they're looking at the modern day customer like me, who probably spends £10 in the stadium, gets a drink and a bit of food, and they don't want that. They want a guy that's spending £400 in the stadium, buying a shirt, he's buying this, he's buying that, and that's what they've got to do to get the turnover up, to get the transfers. So Sheikh Mansour, before FFP, he used to do deals like you could take your child to a Carabao Cup game for £1, and people said, oh, you can't fill your stadium. No, it's just a nice gesture. We fly out to Porto in COVID. Sheikh Mansour paid for all the flights to get everyone out because there was a pandemic on. You can't do that now. If you wanted to offer kids for £5 or kids for £10, you can't, because you've got to get your turnover up. So the tickets have gone up 10 years on the bounce. The season tickets have gone up again. But the other argument is you're watching good football, world-class players, and you're winning trebles. If we were bottom of the league, getting relegated, and we were putting the prices up, then we could moan. But it's so hard at the minute. It's so hard to sort of know which side of the fence to sit.
It's a tricky situation to balance, because like if you get it wrong, you can completely alienate the fan base, and match going fans they won't tolerate people walking in, taking their seats and basically doing the stuff that you just described, being on their iPad, not really chanting. Yeah, man, it's something that's been happening at the Bernabeu as well. So yeah, like I know like how that feels 100%, even though like we are not match going fans. But yeah, Mo, I guess it's about time that we run the ad read, and let's hear what Doris has to tell us.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped, and this season we partnered up with them to make sure everyone's grass is cut up to standard, because Xavi has been complaining and it's been annoying our secretary. So join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this special offer. Go to manscaped.com, use code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping at checkout. So introducing this season's MVP is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's a trimmer with 2 blade heads, one to just take a little off the top, or the foil blade basically to go super smooth, and you can use this in the shower. It has 2 bright LED spotlights, so there's no accidents in the shower, and it's waterproof, it's easy to clean. You can put this in your travel bag, in your drawer. So to get the full grooming experience, you should get the Beard Hedger Pro Kit and the Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Basically, you get extra parts to really create your signature look and clean up your neckline. So use code LBR20 at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping. That's LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And thank you for watching. Back to the video.
I'll be back. Right. Big up Doris, big up Manscaped. You guys know the drill. Manscaped has been with us for the past 2 months or so. You guys know the drill. LBR20 for 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Obviously, pioneers of men's grooming.
Manscaped, look, Manscaped.
Yeah, is that by Manscaped as well? Okay, fair play, fair play. There you go.
The best.
There you go. There you go. You guys know the drill, man. Big Steve has done it already. LB at 20 to get 20% off and free shipping on Manscaped. They have a great catalog of beard trimmers, waxes, lingerie, you name it. Um, yeah, man. Show them some love. Show us some love. And again, when Manscaped came on board, guess who was the first guy I hit up? It was Big Steve. Simple as.
Well done.
Um, yeah, 100%. And he was super keen to remind us, like, yeah, we deserve it. Um, but yeah, let's kind of hone our focus towards what has been transpiring over at the Etihad this year. Steve, like I was watching the Big Six show. It was a blockbuster show. Let's be honest. All our brothers over there, the Big Six, are extremely funny guys. First and foremost, and second, excellent people. Like whenever I reach out to them, they have only shown us love. Like I've spoken to Turkish countless times, especially when we had the idea of the big three. Basically, I kind of pitched it over to him, and yeah, he was super keen on letting us know like what would work, what wouldn't work, and whatnot. And Tobes, Matisse, but yeah, like pertaining to that particular show, the way you kind of became the anti-hero, and how it kind of went aboard, especially with how heated it got, and how the back and forth was kind of super intense, considering it was a dead ass game, a 0-0 draw that basically left both teams hanging. I want to ask your feelings, Steve. Right, like because watching that game personally, I felt like right after that game, like after the Villa game, the overall sensation might be a bit more positive, bit more optimistic. But when we were watching the Arsenal game, like I could see genuine concern among your fan base. Like, is there some truth to it?
Yeah, we were told off a lot of Arsenal fans that the best team in the land was coming. Arsenal scored the most goals. They got the best defence. They're going to come to the Etihad. This is their time. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they came and just defended, stayed in their own half. And I thought, okay, are they going to get us on the counter attack? Because City was very, very high up the pitch. So we were playing a lot in their half. And I thought, this could be the plan. They never did it. They never came. They were happy with what they did. And that wasn't a criticism of Man City. I think we tried, but I don't think we are as ruthless as we have been. That's why I said City were poor. We couldn't break them down. But there's a big difference if Brentford come to the Etihad and put 2 banks of 5, we can eventually break them down. But Arsenal's defence is the best defence in the league without sitting deep. So when they're sat deep and the midfield sat deep, we found it extremely tough to break through. And people like, well, it was the way they tried to spin it afterwards. To me, there was not one Arsenal fan that was sat in that stadium before that match. If you'd have paused the game before kickoff and said, do you think Arsenal is going to set up 2 banks of 5 and try and get a draw? 99% of them fans would have said, no, we're the best team in here. We're going to come here. We're going to attack Man City and we're going to win. But then they didn't do that. So that tells me that A, the manager's not confident enough in his team to go and beat Man City, a Man City team that aren't as good as last year, by the way. And C, it tells me that the fans are very, very fragile. And I don't think they believe they can do it themselves. So, we wasn't the best. It is what it is. It's a point. We move on. But I feel like both teams should be very disappointed in the game because we're forgetting one thing here. We let Liverpool pull clear. And anyone that thinks Liverpool can't win every game is wrong because they can. And I feel like we could both be sat there looking back and thinking, you know what? It was that game.
So you reckon it's Liverpool's title to lose, basically?
Yeah,
from here on in.
I could see Liverpool winning all their games. I can see City winning all their games. I can see Arsenal winning all their games, and that's how I feel it. But we're just hoping for a slip. But I'm not overdo. I don't know. Coming across on the show, people might have thought, "Oh, Big Steve, salty." It's not salty because pundits have come out today and said the same. The Arsenal performance wasn't a masterclass. They parked the bus. That's fine. If you want to park the bus and get a point, that's fine. But don't come telling us what you're going to do. I came last year and told you that at the Etihad, we're going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I walked the walk. I watched my team. If Man City set up like that at the Bernabeu, 2 banks of thing, and tried to get a draw, I'd be very disappointed. I would. A draw would be a great result there because it's 2 legs. But, you know, if, say, we needed to win at the Etihad and we set up like that and we went out because of a draw, I'd be gutted. But, listen, it upset a few. We earned a few quid on the super chat. Steve is the bad guy again. But it's a 90% Arsenal channel. It was born on Turkish London. So, you know, we know what it is. But at the end of the day, it's all a bit of banter. It's all a bit of, you know, good guy, bad guy.
But basically, tell me about this. You basically claim that you weren't that team this year. Like, I know it's tongue in cheek, right? It's reverse psychology, but still.
No, I don't. I honestly, being honest with you, I do think that we aren't as fluid as we was last year. Not dominating games like we did last year. I feel like last year the plan was go to the Bernabeu, 0-0, win 1-0, lose 1-0. We're happy with that. All about the Etihad. We got away with it. It worked, and we won it. I feel that this year going to Real Madrid, the plan's pretty much the same, but Real Madrid are ready for it. So I feel like Real Madrid have got to think, you know what? We might need to go and have a go at the Bernabeu and take a couple of goal lead to the Etihad because the Etihad could be crazy again. So I don't think if we got a 0-0 in the Bernabeu, I would be happy. I don't think you guys would be happy. But
no chance.
You know, if you beat us 2-0 at the Bernabeu and coming back to the Etihad, I'd be thinking, got it all to do. You know what I mean? So, but it sets it up nice. I feel like the individual battles, Kyle Walker, Vinicius Jr., I think Kyle's not going to make it. So Vinicius has got a chance to go at someone. It's either going to be
Rico Lewis?
It might be Rico or it might be Kanji. I feel like Kanji's a good player. If he can stick to Vinicius and bounce him about a bit, yeah. But I feel like Vinicius is going to be waiting for that flick, the touch. You know, he's going to be looking for it. But I don't know. Pep's going to come up with something. Carlo's going to come up with something. This is why these teams are elite. You know, it's all about, you know, the game. It's like, I don't know if you've seen some of the podcasts about Daps, but I told you about Daps in the Bernabeu. I'll tell you a quick story, yeah. Gets in the Bernabeu, nervous, yeah. He gets to the seats. Don't forget, the stewards ain't letting us in. We got this stupid thing in England where Real Madrid want us to write our names on the tickets and you have to match them against the passports. So
I've heard about it.
Got to the turnstile, the police said, forged ticket. My ticket's forged. It's not. You're not coming in. So anyway, there's murders outside. It's crazy. Gets in the ground finally, goes up, stood there. Daps has been on the rum all day and the cokes and the sun, you know, so he's well and truly like happy, yeah. And then 5 minutes into the game, I'm watching. Obviously, we're right up in the Bernabeu, so I'm watching the game, how it's unfolding, where they're playing, who's coming inside. I'm looking at these battles on the pitch. I'm well engrossed in it. And then Daps says, "What do you think of Crystal Palace?" I went, what? And he went, "Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace." I went, "Yeah." And he went, "He's got this tactics and he plays him off here and Mateta lays it deep here and he does this and he does that." And I went, "Daps," I went, "fuck off away from me." I go up there with them. I said, "We're at the Bernabeu for the Champions League semi-final. I'm shitting myself and you're talking about Roy Hodgson's tactics at Crystal Palace." So we had to move because I couldn't handle it. So this is what you've got to deal with as City fans. You know, we're all deep in conversation thinking this is the biggest game of our lives. And Dap was more worried about Mateta playing off some striker for Palace. So, yeah, it's a funny story. But if you ever message Daps, just ask him how Roy Hodgson's tactics.
Hodgson's 4-4-2. I think it's a brilliant distraction. Not going to lie, to be honest. But Steve, like Haaland, let's start right at the tip of the diamond. Haaland, we know what he's about, how prolific he can be when he is basically put through on goal. Like you bet your life on him. He's that good. But Roy Keane's comments, yes, he tends to blow things out of proportion. But there is some genuine truth to it. Like let's be honest, Haaland's link-up play is not what Haaland's USP is about.
No.
His USP is finishing. It's heading goals. Getting basically physically, basically bodying defenders physically and intimidating them even before a goal is kicked. That's what Haaland is about. Like he's not your Gundo Gundogan, he's not your Benzema or your even your Lewandowski. He was not that bad at linking up play. But do you think his general play, like, yes, if last year was kind of the year where he basically arrived, and this sophomore year is basically him trying to reinvent himself, and the team basically trying to give him a new direction, him being a lot more deeper. Like, can you walk us through what has been the reason behind Haaland not being as effective as last season?
I feel like the service is massive. I just feel like we've got one of the best strikers in the world. Don't play to his strengths. I feel like
you guys don't cross the ball. You guys don't play it in transition. Like when he's through on goal, nobody puts him through.
Nobody puts the ball through to him. Nobody crosses the ball. We played the other night against Villa, and we put more crosses in the box than I've ever seen. Anybody didn't play.
It's funny. It's
crazy, but it's a Pep Guardiola thing. But I do feel.
Do you reckon, Steve, like Pep basically uses him as a decoy completely?
Some games, I believe that. Some games, I believe that. It's like you go up against the centre backs, push them back as far as you can, leave the space in the middle for De Bruyne and Foden to pop into. I don't mind that, but you've got to be a very, very mature and very, very, very generous guy to want to do that when you're a striker. Strikers want to score goals. Strikers want to be the hero. And I feel like this season, he's not making the runs because he realises he ain't getting the ball. And I think it's just natural for him to be, he's looking at kind of like, not interested. Like, I've seen games where he's not touched the ball for 30, 40, 50 minutes, then he might score a hat-trick. So, but if you're asking me honestly, is there a problem between the supply line and Erling Haaland? 100% there is. And Pep has got to find a solution, because I feel like Jeremy Doku will get past the defender, but then check back and come back again, and then go back again and go back again. And I feel like Haaland's already made his run twice. Then the third time, he's not going to do it. And then the cross will hit the first defender. I feel like there's nobody in the middle other than Kevin De Bruyne that can thread that ball through. I mean, at the Bernabeu last year, Haaland was just fighting with everyone, but it allowed Kevin De Bruyne to pop up and score. At the Etihad last season, same thing. He had a lot of headers and chances where Courtois saved them. But I just feel like there is a problem between the creativity in the side and Erling Haaland. But look, he's still top of the goal scoring charts. For Roy Keane to start mentioning his build-up play, it's not his game. If he had the best build-up play in the world, he'd be the best striker anyone's ever seen on the planet. Every striker's got a flaw. Erling Haaland's good at heading, he's good at shooting, he's very pacer, he's strong. But link-up play is not his game. It's just not his game. So I just feel like Pep knows what his game is, but I just feel like for a City fan watching, it's very frustrated. You know what I mean? You strike as a hero, you want people, get it, you get your people go, get it in the box. Get it in the box. He's gone. Erling's made the run. Erling's made the run. But I feel like Haaland, looking at his body language, I feel like he's starting to get frustrated with it.
He looks a dejected figure. Go on,
yeah,
Farooq,
Steve,
go on.
You mentioned earlier, I think one important thing we have to not forget this year is that the absence of, Kevin De Bruyne. It's easy for everyone to be like, oh yeah, he's not as good as last year. Well, like last year you had Kevin, throwing balls left, right, center. We had Ilkay there, even we had Mahrez as well. And that those are things. I think don't you think like the lack of the fluidity that you mentioned is just all down to the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, because we know how good and influential a player he is.
Yeah, I do. I believe that, and I feel like some games, like, we'll start off with De Bruyne and Foden in the middle, and then the next game it'll be Bernardo in the middle. Then the game after that, Foden will be on the right. Then the game after that, Grealish will be on the left. Then the game after that, Doku will be on the right. And I feel like all good teams, they need a little rhythm and a little balance and keep the same players. It's like, Real Madrid, where your boys are, where they're doing it and who's doing what and where they're going to be. I feel like City at the minute, Pep's still tinkering with it a little bit. I just feel like we need somebody else other than De Bruyne in that middle that can thread a ball through. Ilkay last year, you watch the treble documentary on Netflix now, you see how many times Ilkay put him in. Clever, very intelligent pass. I feel like we're missing that. And I feel like you just said, Riyad Mahrez, a player you can rely on, he can come on as a substitute, he doesn't waste the ball, he's not a Doku, he doesn't waste it. I feel like Jeremy sometimes wastes it. I think he's
super raw though. He's super young, super raw.
Very raw. But he's and I think that's frustrating as well because you Pep's a possession man. He doesn't want you to lose the ball. So when Doku beats his man and smashes it and it goes 40 foot in the air, you're giving them the ball back. Or he crosses it, hits the first defender, goes out. It's just like not fluid. But, we're still there. We're thereabouts. And I feel like Jeremy Doku's got something special inside him this season to come. I just don't think we've seen the best of it yet.
He might be influential. Like I don't think he's going to start on Tuesday, but from the bench, I think he can really cause us some problems. But the reintroduction of Grealish into the equation has definitely lifted spirits. I can just see it in the stadium. Steve, like, can you give us an insight into how important he is? Like some people bemoan his lack of intensity, like he basically slows you down and whatnot, but I reckon like he brings a lot of calmness to proceedings for City.
You've just hit the nail on the head. The word is calm. Jeremy's very, very explosive, but when you're explosive, you lack control. The ball's bouncing off your knees, it's coming off your shoulders, you're going one way, you're falling over, and then all of a sudden you're giving away possession. That is the last thing we need to be doing in the Burnabout, giving away possession. We need Jack Grealish up the end of the pitch, falling over if he has to, getting a foul, coming inside, winding players up. Exactly what Rudiger and that was doing to us, we need to do to you. I'd rather Jack Grealish have the ball in the last third than Jeremy Doku, because I think Jeremy could make a wrong decision. He can't get us on the transition. You've seen it. Vinicius Jr. breaks on us with no Kyle Walker. It's a long night. So we need players that are going to get the ball, on the ball, pass it, keep it moving. I mean, we've got the best in the world in Rodri. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. Like you say, 64 games undefeated for Rodri on. 64 games undefeated. And he's not played in 4 and we lost all 4. What tells you about that?
Mo, I'll come to you, man. Rodri, like we have been talking about Rodri like for the past couple of weeks, and the world has in general been talking about Rodri for the past 2 seasons or maybe more. When you watch Rodri, like is he the perfect midfielder for you, Mo? Like, and like would you take him in our side? Like I know it's a no-brainer, but still, like how much does he elevate City's overall game for you?
The thing about Rodri is the fact that maybe the world is realizing Rodri is that good right now. Maybe after City won the Champions League, after what happened last season, after what's happening this season. The thing is, like, everybody who's watched football in Spain has known how good Rodri is ever since he was at Villarreal. Then he went to Atleti, and then he went to City. I think there is a reason why this guy's always been regarded as a successor to Sergio Busquets. I mean, to quote Farouk, Sergio B was one of the best players, to grace this game. So for me personally, Rodri, he's just proving what everybody thought he could do. The irony for me is like Rodri was actually born very close to the Bernabeu. So I always felt that even before this purple patch that he hit, at City, maybe purple patch is like, people might take it the wrong way, but this run of form where he has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, where he's getting Ballon d'Or shots. I mean, even before that, I've always felt that one player that Real Madrid should definitely look into signing. Before we signed Tchouaméni, was the fact that we needed a successor for Casemiro and somebody who was good at the ball, but somebody who could at the same time shield the defense. I think Rodri has been one of those players who's done that year in, year out. Right now, he's getting the recognition for it, and at Real Madrid, you always need players who can do that. Who can step it up and reach that elite level, that level where they can make a difference. Win you titles, win you Champions Leagues. So for me, yeah, obviously I would take Rodri. I mean, you say it's a no-brainer, but it would have been a no-brainer even before he hit this, hit this run of form that he is in currently. So City are incredibly lucky to have him, and I think he has definitely improved from what he was in Spain playing under Pep Guardiola. And I mean, you guys were discussing about Haaland before, and I think there is a reason why he went to City. He went to City because he wanted to learn how to link up under Pep Guardiola. Because everybody says that is his weak point, but everybody, every talented player wants to improve. So he went there. Now he has to improve himself, and I think he's learned a lot under Pep. And Rodri, the same thing. Rodri, the player he was in Spain, the player he was at Atleti. I think if he had stayed at Atleti and not gone to City, he probably wouldn't have reached these levels. But it was under Pep that he learned this style of football. He learned how to bring a different dimension to his game under Guardiola. And I think Spain is lucky for it because they are definitely reaping the fruits of what Pep has taught him. And City have obviously been rewarded for the investment.
No, he's such a great player, and like you say, he came in and he shadowed Fernandinho for a year, and then started.
People weren't very keen on Rodri, I remember.
Yeah, well, I think people just want an instant fix.
Impact, yeah.
Yeah,
City got him at the
if I
right
can
time, and they let him shadow Fernandinho.
Yeah, if I can say this, I mean, at City, every time a new signing is made, I think people are always like, maybe this guy's not going to fit, because I think that it is the same story with any Pep signing. Every time somebody comes to the Pep system, it's not easy to get in. I mean, Pep is a system manager. Like, Pep is a manager who I think he's good at all fronts, right? He has the man management bit down, he has the system bit down, but he also has the ability to adapt to his players. But once you come and play under Pep, I think you have to learn his system, and everybody takes time to do it. I think this season, somebody they signed in the summer is Guardiola, and I think Guardiola has come in for a little bit of criticism. But then again, the point is, like, Guardiola is a brilliant centre back. We were talking about this like, the last time we did a podcast, and I said the same thing. When players like Guardiola are on the pitch, no matter the form, they always are going to be a threat. And I think under Pep, he is learning how to play Pep style of football. So maybe he's not at his best this season, but he'll be brilliant next season. And the same thing with Grealish. When he came in, everybody was like kind of taking the mickey out of him. They were saying City spent 100 million on him and what kind of a player is he. But last year he showed us what kind of a player he is. And this year you guys are talking about how he has been a positive influence for him. So the same thing with Rodri. When he went to England, not everybody realized how good he was, what he could be. But those of us who have watched him in Spain, we knew what kind of a player there was under him, lying inside. And that player has been unleashed totally under Pep Guardiola. So, I mean,
you're right.
100%. Like for me personally, Rodri, yes, he brings all the intangibles already to the table, but what I focus on is the tangibles. The way he basically, like dribbled past, I don't know who it was, against Villa and laid it on the plate for Foden. Man, this guy is just a cheat code. Like I was telling the boys in the chat, like how on earth are we gonna, basically, put tabs on him? Like he is gonna be literally unplayable. Like if he's in the way of form he was on against Villa on Tuesday. But Steve, like we have been talking about City for a bit now. Like I really want to know your perspective on where we stand compared to last year. Like I'm not so sure like how much you have been following us, but the Jude Bellingham hype would have definitely made you check us out, like at least like more than a couple of times, like over the course of the season. But yeah, man, like tell us like what's your gut feeling about where we stand compared to last season, especially after such a pivotal figure like Karim Benzema departing.
Yeah, well, listen, last season I thought you had a good side, but this season I feel like Jude is just done better than what anyone ever expected. I was with him 2 weeks ago at the England training camp, and I said to him, "Are you looking forward to the Etihad game?" And he said, "Yeah, can't wait." And I said, "Erling Haaland's got a special present for you at the Etihad," and he said to me, "I've got a special present for you at the Etihad." So we had a bit of banter, but such a good guy. And as an English man, to watch him go to Real Madrid and do what he's doing there and basically play like he's playing, and I feel like the whole of the Madrid fans have fell in love with him. I feel like he's dangerous, and I think these are the games that he wanted. He wants to come to England wearing that white Real Madrid shirt and show everybody in England that he's playing for Real Madrid, and he's a good friend of Foden and Grealish and that from England and that. But yeah, and Haaland's one of his best friends from Dortmund days. So I feel he's good. But when you start looking at your team now, you look at Vinicius Junior, you look at Rodrigo, you look at Camavinga, you look at Raheem Diaz as well, who's come back and ex-player of ours, and then you're looking at Jude. It's a great team, and then you feel like next season you're going to add Mbappe, so it's going to get a bit mad. So I think you're a great side, and I think that everyone's excited to see the Jude Bellingham and the Phil Fodens go up against each other and that. But we did early in the season when I seen a few results that were a bit crazy. Obviously, Girona's our side from the City group, and they were doing okay.
We put them to bed twice after you came on here and bragged about the 4-0.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But they're only a small side. But I feel like I just feel like I don't know if the La Liga levels the rest of the clubs are as they used to be. I don't think that, but I feel like Real Madrid's always kept that level, and I feel like Vinicius Junior and that is just frightening. You know, I went to the England-Brazil game the other week, and a few of your lads were playing in that, but I don't know. We just got to I look at City, and you're always a little bit apprehensive, Real Madrid, but I just feel like last year's results changed our mentality a little bit. I don't feel like the City fans are thinking, "Oh, Real Madrid, we're going to get hammered." I think they're thinking, you know what, we've done it last year, let's do it. So we got to be careful that we don't get complacent. You know what I mean?
Fair play. But do you think our midfield gives us a better chance or a slight edge compared to last year?
What will the midfield be?
So it'll be Fede, Tchouaméni, Cruz, and Bellingham, the diamond.
Yeah.
And we have options from the bench in Camavinga.
Yeah. I feel like City, though, they've got the options in there. De Bruyne's going to be in there. Rodri.
But is De Bruyne the same player, though, after he came back? I don't think so.
He's not the same. He like I say, he's that injury's definitely had its toll on him. You've seen the scar on his leg.
He's lost at least a couple yards of pace.
I feel his vision's there, but I feel like his body's not quite up to where it needs to be. But it's only like someone like De Bruyne who could just turn up in these games and just everyone could just think, there he is. We haven't seen him for a few weeks, but there he is when it counts. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that. But you are correct in saying that it is a feeling around the Etihad that he might not be the same player now.
Yeah, he put a dagger through my heart. Last season in the first leg, which was an absolute banger, to say the least. But Farouk, man, talking about our side of the spectrum, like we have been here countless times discussing about like how we can basically do better. How can we set up a bit more proactively against City, right? And we have more or less have been on the same page about our midfield lacking runners and our midfield also being super lackadaisical when it comes to marking opposition runners from deep. Like, how do you think that's going to play a part, man? Like, especially when you see guys like Foden, who has been tearing up the Premier League. How many GA does he have, Steve, this season? 30, is it?
Yeah, it's something like 30. Yeah, it's crazy.
He's on a mad one. So Farouk, talk to me through that, man. Like, I just hope we don't sit ducks. Like, we're not going to do that in the first leg, of course, but throughout the tie there'll be occasions where we'll have to survive the City onslaught and be like, we gotta basically defend what we got for a second.
Yeah, definitely, man. I totally, get what you're saying there. The City has threats all over the places, and especially Phil Foden, man. Like the guys, and he has a knack for, rising to the big occasions and what is not. And I just feel like, again, having, the gap we talked about the gap between our midfield and our attack is usually too much. For example, in the last game we talked about this, and I think it's not the issue of a personnel, but it's just the way the team is set up. The instructions from the coaching staff. I think that will be really, really important, especially in the first leg. When we play, and especially if we do not have Kyle Walker playing against Vinicius Junior, because like it's something that's really, really it's been an interesting battle, but I'd rather have a centre back marking Vinicius, and we can exploit that and what is not. But I think the key thing will be again Toni Kroos, the ability that what we allowing Toni Kroos to get the ball in the position where he can find those runners. I think that's the best way to negate the runners of City, because the point is when you have people, I mean, again, the thing is, we talked about this, the game Arsenal played against Man City, one thing that kept on popping up was that you saw Phil Foden getting the ball in his own half, you saw Bernardo Silva getting the ball in his own half, you understand? So you saw the midfielders of Arsenal getting really
so there is a blueprint there.
Exactly, not exactly a blueprint, because as Steve said, like it's like Arsenal packed two bosses, you understand? So honestly, like that's not that, but at least you can get inspired from that, and try to implement it as well. You see
especially for the second leg, yeah.
So exactly, so you need someone like Tchouaméni, so someone like Fede Valverde to get very physical with players like, with players like Bernardo Silva, with players like Ivica Grealish or Jeremy Doku, yeah, it's almost impossible to get physical with someone like Haaland. Like, it is just literally a monster, So, but like with those creative players, those guys are the people, you need to make it really, really uncomfortable to get balls in places that they're not comfortable getting, in the least dangerous places, and that will allow a player like Toni Kroos to be able to get the ball and, as more rightly put it, like as play the role of a quarterback, find those runners, either it's Vinicius, either it's Rodrigo, either it's Jude Bellingham or whatever it's gonna be. So that's, I think, gonna be really important. Like, how can we, how we push those players far away from our attacking half, and how we can exploit the spaces that they're leaving behind.
Fair play. Some great points over there. Steve,
I think Farouk,
go on.
You kind of left out, like you mentioned him, but I think the most important player for Real Madrid against City is going to be Bellingham.
And Tchouaméni as well. Let's not kid ourselves.
I mean, the thing is, like, okay, first of all, I don't know where Tchouaméni is going to play, because you are pretty sure about midfield. But for me personally, I think Tchouaméni should be starting as a centre back in this game, because we definitely need to get past the first line of press and get the ball out, because last season we couldn't do that. And I think Modric and what happened last season was the fact that Kroos and Modric were like completely malfunctioning. When Kroos and Modric aren't getting the ball out, Real Madrid don't work. And then we had Benzema, who was like, every time we talk about Benzema, I've always praised him. So, but that game was like pretty bad, and he was out of form. He was out of physical shape, and I think we've all seen what has happened to him ever since he's gone to, he's gone to the Saudi league. But the thing is, like, Benzema wasn't in form. So for me, the role of Bellingham becomes all the more important. When Real Madrid used to play under Zidane, we always had this idea of dominating midfield against sides who like to maintain possession. Sides like
100%.
City. Zidane always had Isco doing that role, coming in, creating midfield orders. What happened last season was, like, Benzema didn't really drop deep. He wasn't dynamic at all at the Etihad, and he wasn't coordinating with Kroos and Modric, and relieving pressure. But this season, Jude, that role falls down to Jude. You're not going to expect that from Rodrigo. You're not going to expect that from Vinicius, because these guys are going to be keeping City's backline on the edge. Positioning themselves in the half spaces, positioning themselves between the two defenders. Because I think City, they play with 4 centre backs into the backline, so they're probably going to be positioned somewhere in between there. But then Bellingham is the guy who's going to be tasked with connecting the midfield and the attack, as well as relieving pressure whenever City are pressing on us, being that extra man, being that extra player. So yeah, Kroos is definitely going to be important, because when is Kroos not important for Real Madrid? But I think Jude Bellingham, his play in the offensive phase and his play during the build-up phase is going to be incredibly important for Real Madrid. If you look at the best game that we have played in the recent matches, it was the game against Girona at the Bernabeu, where we spanked them 4-0, and that game Jude was simply brilliant. His connection with Vinicius was incredible.
Was
so
incredible.
For me, that has to happen. Jude has to position himself in such a way that when we are playing in our own half, he's receiving the ball, he's an outlet for everybody. And then when we carry the ball, because we know Jude can do that, Fede can do that, Camavinga can do that, because I'm fully expecting Camavinga to start. So when these guys do that, and we get the ball to Vinicius and Rodrigo in the half spaces, we all saw what happened against Barcelona. Once a position-oriented team starts pushing up, there's obviously going to be space. And like Big Steve said, City this season have been vulnerable on transition. And we were talking about this over the weekend. I said the same thing. Real Madrid, they have to exploit City on transition to have any chance of advancing through. So for me, Bellingham, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Kroos, like, everybody's going to be important, but Bellingham especially is going to be very important for Real Madrid.
100%. Steve, like, let's kind of focus on your deficiencies, in basically trying to basically stop great transitions from ending up in high percentage chances or goal scoring chances. Like, what has been the biggest kind of reason behind it in your eyes throughout the season?
I just feel like the back four has not been as settled as it was.
Injuries has a major play.
Last season we swapped a back four of centre backs, Nathan Ake, Diaz, Stones, Akanji, or whatever.
Ake has been incredible at left back. He is a joy to watch. I haven't been so impressed by a player playing out of position like that before. Like, has he had a history of playing like on the wing, Ake? Steve,
no,
do
really.
you remember?
He's just. I think Pep's just made him into a left back. You know what I mean? Guardiola's there this season. I think Guardiola is a centre back, but he's obviously playing him at left back. But City sometimes can get a little bit too high, a little bit deep, and then all of a sudden, if we lose possession high up and somebody can unlock, put a nice ball over the top of Ruben Diaz's head, or a nice ball over the top of Nathan Ake's head, then there's space there for people to punish us. We've seen it at home against Chelsea. We got a draw 1-1, but Raheem Sterling got through many times. We've seen it against teams where we feel like we're getting overrun. It feels like we're being exposed, but I'm sure Pep's going to be aware of it. I feel like we've got to go to the Bernabeu on Tuesday and just do what we did last year, soak up a bit of pressure, maybe nick one. 1-1 wouldn't be the end of the world. 1-0 either way wouldn't be the end of the world. Because I just feel like we know how to play in these high pressure games now. I don't think I mean, a few years ago we go to Monaco and we're trying to throw the kitchen sink at them. They did catch us and win. We're trying to beat Lyon, forcing it. They beat us and win. It's like, don't force it. Like against Madrid the year before, 1 minute away, see the game out. You don't have to go, but we were still attacking. Jack Grealish is attacking. We nearly scored a third, and next minute you go up the other end, bang. And it's like, that's shown a lot of naivety with Manchester City. But I feel like the run last year, what we did, playing the teams we did and winning the way we did, has built a massive character in this squad. And I feel like we're not that naive anymore. But I have to admit that there's definitely vulnerabilities that Real Madrid can expose, especially if Kyle Walker's not playing.
Completely agree. City has definitely grown a lot of metal over the last year or so, especially the way you guys even won the Premier League. It was basically a photo finish. You guys had to dig deep, find your heroes, find your soldiers. Basically, push you guys over the line. Because I remember following the title run in and how nauseatingly crazy it got. But Steve, one thing that I would like to pick your brains on is basically the whole City overwhelming opposition boxes bit, right? From your guys' perspective, how does it play on your psyche, right? When you're basically smothering Arsenal left, right, center, they're basically pinned, suffocating them. They're basically gonna pass out any second. That's the way you guys came out the first 10-15 minutes. But then they kind of weathered the storm. They got lucky a bit. Haaland had a great chance. It didn't really pan out. When you kind of see teams surviving those kind of phases, what goes on through you guys' minds, basically?
Just frustration. I feel like over the years, there's been lots of teams come to the Etihad and played that way. We've always found a key to unlock the door. But there's occasions where you can't. It's just one of them days where you literally got a lot of possession, 75% possession, but you can't score. I accept that sometimes. And then, to be honest, you've got to give credit to the opposition. If they can dig in that well all game and do it, then they've done the job, if that's what they want to do. But I don't think, if Real Madrid get a 2-0 lead at the Bernabeu, come back to City and want to play that way, then I understand it. But I don't believe, if the tie's in the balance, 1-0, 1-1, I don't think Real Madrid can afford to come to the Etihad and do that. And they have to come to the Etihad and say, right, we'll just have a toe-to-toe here, let's go. You know what I mean? And sometimes that can play into City's hands, but sometimes when you're brave at the Etihad, you can win. Aston Villa were brave the other night and they cut through us there and scored a goal. But the difference between Aston Villa and Arsenal is the defence. Arsenal, I believe that if Arsenal was brave the other night, we was there for the taking. I honestly believe that. And for me as a City fan to admit that, I never usually admit anything like that. I don't want to say how it is, but it could have been.
The Jesus chance was pretty big, to be honest.
I just feel like they could have. When they won the ball back, they were just hitting it hopelessly into spaces and trying to get up the pitch. It wasn't like, right, let's ride the pressure a bit and let's get the ball over the top of Nathan Ake, or let's get it round Akanji or Rico Lewis or whoever, and let's go for it. It didn't happen like that. So I don't think they're brave, but I think City will be a little bit scared of the Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo effect. I feel like we've been hit with that before. I feel like we've got to be very controlled and very, very calm and try and grow into the game, especially on Tuesday night, have a lot of possession if we can and ride the storm, you know what I mean? And if we can come away on Tuesday 0-0, 1-1, 1-0 down. I think we'll be happy with that.
You reckon the boys will be a bit leggy, especially what is it like 6 games in 17 days or something?
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can look at it from an outsider that way, but when I spoke to Gail Clichy, I did an interview with him, and he said there's nothing better than games. He went, when you're in a title run, when you're in big European games, there's nothing better than games. He went, you want them games because your legs, you don't feel the tiredness. You literally, you're on a journey, and you got the rhythm. And he said, and sometimes you come up against a team that's played a load of games, but they've got the rhythm. He said, if you've got a 9-day, 10-day break, he said, you can undertrain, you can overtrain, you can underthink, you can overthink. He said, you just want to get back out there. He said, so, with City playing the other night and winning, if we can win tomorrow at Palace, and it's not a bad run of results, you know what I mean? We've had Liverpool, Man United, we've had Arsenal, you know what I mean, Palace. So I feel like City's got the rhythm, and I feel like this is not something new to Manchester City. We've been here before, 63 games last year, whatever. We've had the Super Cup this year. We've had the
Community Shield.
Yeah, you guys have done all that. You know what I mean? You know what it's like. I feel like I don't think the boys are tired. I just feel like we're just getting on with it. And like you say, Pep's rested De Bruyne and Haaland the other night.
Yeah.
Probably rest a couple tomorrow. But no, I think we'll be all right on the day.
On the other side, Farouk and Mo, like I would like you guys to chip in, man. Like personally, me, when Vinny, got himself suspended and whatnot, and then we got to know how the calendar looked like, I was super wary about us not playing for 10 days back to back, right? Like, do you guys are on the same page right now, or like do you feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise to kind of reset a bit? Farouk, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Vini thing was a bit worrying, but then, considering the way he played for Brazil and all that, like, I kind of feel like it's fair, man, to have the maximum amount of rest you can have against City coming back from the whole thing that they have with the fixture list that they have, congested fixture list, and the break that we have also from last weekend. Again, I think it's something that I think will come in good for us, honestly, in this tie. And I think it's definitely a positive, especially when you look at our players. Like, they've been overplayed, man. Come on, like Jude, Fede, Tony Rudiger, just to name a few. Like, they've been overplayed. So I kind of feel like it's really nice, to get that break, just that pause before you restart again, to arguably the most important home game of the season, at least so far. So I think it's something that's going to bode well for our players, and the freshness is going to give that extra 1, 2, 3%, and these are the things that make a difference when it comes to these ties.
100%. Mo, do you agree with Farouk, or like do you have?
I think there's not a lot to disagree with, but I think both Big Steve and Farouk have made valid points. I think once you are in a run of games, you have that consistency, that spirit that gets you forward, that keeps you going. And Farouk is also right. I mean, Fede Valverde, I think he kind of had to get substituted in the last game. He came off injured, so I want to see what happens with him and what kind of situation he is in. Because if I remember, Ancelotti said after the last game that it wasn't that serious, it was just a knock. So it gives him some time to recover and recover to his, let's say, get better than what he was. Like Farouk said, he's played a lot of games. He's been the undisputed starter for Real Madrid this season. A lot of people had doubts about Valverde, but I always said as long as Valverde is fit, he has to play. So Real Madrid need Valverde to go against City and have hopes of progressing through this tie. Real Madrid need Fede Valverde in top form. So for me, players like Jude and Fede get adequate rest. But then we cannot forget the role of Antonio Pintos, because Pintos is going to be key in this run. In this particular break, I believe it is like 10 days. So it is down to him to prepare the team for the City game. It's down to him to decide how the physical preparation is going to be. And Ancelotti is experienced enough to know how to deal with these things. He's been a manager for for longer than I have followed football. So this guy is experienced enough to know how to deal with this situation. So I'm hoping for the best.
100%. The other thing I'm super kind of nervous about is the yellow card situation as well. Like, I still remember when I got to know about what's at stake, especially regarding suspensions. Like the first guy I messaged was Francesco, Carlo's assistant. again, like the one thing I told him is that we really can't take our chances. We really need to have our heads screwed on. Like I'm not sure how much Steve is aware about the whole suspension situation, but is this something that's going to be playing on Pep's mind, Steve, ahead of Tuesday?
I don't, to be honest, I've not really looked into it. I know sometimes if Rodri or anyone's riding a tightrope, it's always nervous because we need him. But I think that these games, you need a strong referee. You do. I mean, I believe that I've been to the Bernabeu before, not last year, maybe year before, and Casemiro was going around booting everyone. No one said nothing. You know what I mean? Referee didn't get a grip of the game. And I've been there before when a referee's early doors has gone, bump, we're not having any of that. And he's been brave. You've got to be brave in the Bernabeu. You've seen it. It's mad in there. You know what I mean? It's mad. But I don't know. I think the standard referee in the Champions League, when you get to this level, like quarters, semis, final, he's elite. I feel like in the group stages, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Is he a few Real Madrid players walking on tightrope with the bookings?
Vinny, Chouameni, Camavinga, Bellingham as well. So yeah, it's a list that's really, really peak.
Just need one booking.
To say the least. Yeah, just one booking to miss the second leg.
I mean, I don't know.
Are you gonna DM the City lads now, Steve? Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, I think Jack Grealish. I think whoever's getting Jack Grealish, he's definitely getting booked.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame you, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure Pep has done, especially with this reputation, for tactical fouls, over the years.
We went to Atletico Madrid the other year, and Jack Grealish that hairstyle, it just absolutely annoyed the stadium, and there were people, grown men, crying, and it was great.
100%. I still remember that. One guy I would like to ask you about, I completely forgot. Kovacic, Steve. Everybody really weren't on board regarding his signing. People questioned, is it the right way to go about things? But more than often, I've heard the sentiment that Kovacic was more of a basically increasing the number of bodies in midfield rather than someone who is a quality signing to kind of change the shape of your midfield setup. Like, how has he panned out? Because we have a huge affection towards Mateo on the side of Madrid.
I think he's done really well. I think he's come in and he's got a new lease of life, and I feel like he's never let us down. I feel like he's come in there. He had big boots to fill with Ilkay Gundogan and that. He's come in there when needed. He does a job. Very, very. He's a bit like Didier Deschamps. He's like the water carrier. He just does the simple things that you take for granted. And I feel like he's not ripping up trees and doing anything spectacular. I just feel like he's coming in there, helping out Rodri in there, getting stuck in. And listen, what a fantastic career he's had. You know what I mean? And the trophies he won with you guys. He's been at Chelsea and then he's come to City. But I think he's been okay. I'd rather have had him when he was 4 or 5 years younger. But I do believe that with age and experience, I feel like we're losing Gundogan. I think that you need somebody who's been there and done it. I think that the younger players need somebody they can pull in training and say, look, when you won the Champions League here, what was it like? Or when you used to play here, what was it like? I feel like you need them older heads around the dressing room just to steady the nerves a little bit. And he might even play. You don't know. He might even play. Pep might think, he's played here before. He knows about how to get about the pitch. Let's get him in and just play a couple of deep midfielders and keep it tight. But we'll see. I like it.
100%. The first leg basically, I think is basically a template made for him to kind of excel in those kind of conditions, because Kovacic, one thing people had reservations about is penetrative passing, which he's not exactly about that. He's more of a metronome, keeping things ticking. But I reckon he really has a very good chance of starting. But I guess it's
for me, the
time that we
the fact that
go on.
Big Steve is referring to him as this guy who's going to bring in experience. Because for me, Kovacic is always going to be the guy who has always dipped to be the successor to Modric. So now hearing Big Steve talk about how Kovacic is going to be the experienced guy guiding younger players, I'm kind of wondering where did Kovacic's career go? Because what Real Madrid was always thinking, give him time, he's going to grow into the role and succeed these guys, Kroos and Modric. Meanwhile, after that, he kind of left to Chelsea. I don't really know what happened there. Maybe, yeah, he did win one Champions League, but I think I kind of expected better from him. But overall, and on the other side of the coin, you see Luka Modric is still playing for Real Madrid. Maybe not a starter this season, but till last year he was like the undisputed starter, and even this season, he in some games just come on and change the game. So it kind of speaks to the longevity of Luka Modric, and the greatness of Luka Modric, that his successor is not being branded as an experienced player, somebody who can guide the youngsters. Meanwhile, Luka is still going strong. So it just stuck out to me.
Oh yeah.
Also, it means how old you are, Mo.
I mean, all of us are old, so.
I think the key thing that we've not spoke about is the second leg being at the Etihad. I think that's so important for us.
I'm just saving it for the second preview because, I don't have the heart to basically, contemplate how it's gonna be. Because let me tell you, Steve, majority of the Madrid fan base and the general fan base around Europe, I'm not sure how much the Premier League. Obviously, the Premier League guys banter you with the empty head remarks, and how you guys have a not so good atmosphere. But what I saw in the second leg was terrifying. Not gonna lie, they were rough. The crowd was absolutely bonkers.
We was on it because it's very
the stakes as well.
Yeah, it's very lazy for fans to say empty ad and that, because they've got nothing else to say. You know what I mean? You want to talk football, they can't talk football with us because we're destroying it at the minute. So it's very lazy. It's like I say, some guy said to me today, I can get a season ticket anytime I want at the Etihad. I said, well, you're telling lies. No, I'm not. I said, well, you go and get a season ticket and I'll pay you 5 times the value for it, because my son has been waiting 10 years for a season ticket, still not got one. So it's a load of shit, And you have it at the Bernabeu. Corporate areas in the stadium sometimes aren't full. You're playing a Copa del Rey match on a Tuesday night, and there'll be empty seats in corporate bits where people just not gone. But I just feel it's crap. I feel like it's not worth it. I feel like, if the atmosphere's flat, I'm one of the first to call it out on my channel and say, look, it wasn't good enough. But I feel like we've had some memorable nights at the Etihad where the crowd has been sensational. And when you see Pep waving his hands around, trying to get the atmosphere going, he's waving to the Tunnel Club. The Tunnel Club, it's £1,000 a game. It's £1,000 a game, yeah? They're sat there drinking lattes, yeah, and eating vol au vents. They ain't going to start singing, Pep. You're waving to the wrong ones. He's been told about them. So the ones behind the net, the lads who we go with week in and week out, we're the ones bringing the noise. And, we just got to keep going. But listen, I think a Spanish journalist last year from Marca said it was a trap. And he said he'd never heard anything like it. And that was good. I felt a bit proud that we finally got a little bit of credit for that. But, Bernabeu's the same. I've been there, I've experienced it. People look round, you think they're tourists. Oh, they're only tourists. But when they needed to get the team going, it rises, and then the volume goes up to different levels.
Similar to how City's crowd is basically on league nights, on a Champions League night, when the team needs the support from the stands. I think Bernabeu is pretty loud, but I guess it's about time we move slowly into the lineups, man. Farouk and Mo, you guys gotta help me. How do you reckon is it gonna go? The Rudiger partner is a huge debate that it's like it can go either way, because I look at it. It might be a game for maybe Nacho to kind of step in and do his thing, or maybe the whole reason why I say that is because we kind of need to preserve Camavinga's status for the second leg. I know some people would bite back saying that, well, there won't be a second leg if we don't do the job in the first leg to begin with. So I get that as well. So it's kind of finely poised. I'm not sure how Carlo is going to really go about this. I would love to ask Francesco, but I think it's a bit too late to delve into that kind of a dialogue. But talk to me, Mo. Firstly, the defense, what would really give you confidence going into the tie, seeing lineup?
For me, the biggest confidence is definitely going to play is for Mendy. Because last season we had Camavinga completely isolated. Bernardo Silva and everybody in City's team were kind of targeting him, especially at the Etihad. Because yeah, Camavinga was brilliant, but the fact is he was alone. Nobody was kind of backing him up. Rudiger was off, occupied with Haaland. Alaba was also kind of dealing with those same issues, and Camavinga was isolated over there. But then this time around we're gonna have Mendy. Mendy, we know how his injury struggles have been well documented, and last season he wasn't there, he was unfit. But this year we have him back, and he's been in a pretty good form defensively. I mean offensively, obviously there are always going to be questions of Fulham Mendy, but it's games like these where the value of Fulham Mendy really stands out. And I don't think anybody has forgotten what happened at the Bernabeu against City, against Grealish of all people. Shooting at the goal, and Fulham Mendy making that goal line clearance that ultimately went a long way in us winning the Champions League in 2022. So for me, that is the big guy that we need to have. Apart from that, yeah, Nacho's been in terrible form, but if he starts, I'm pretty sure that Nacho can always step up and deliver in big games. But for me, the biggest worry for defense is not just about defensive, but it's also about getting the ball out. I've said this on Saturday when we were talking about this game, and it's a tough decision for Ancelotti. He's got to decide whether he's going to go with Tchouaméni and potentially overcome that ability, where the ball might get stuck in defensively. Maybe City. What I think City would try to do is funnel the ball to Fulham Mendy, because Fulham Mendy is not that great on the ball, and then when you press him, you could easily win the ball back. So I think that is going to be City's tactic in that particular phases of play. But for Real Madrid, I think Ancelotti might try and counter that with Tchouaméni, and if Tchouaméni plays as centre back, I think his I hope that his risk of getting a yellow card maybe slightly goes down. But then you have Camavinga playing in the midfield, and Camavinga in the midfield is always a walking yellow card sometimes. So I think it could be a potential,
Tell me about it.
It's a just move, You kind of, what you're hoping for is even if Camavinga gets sent off, then you have Militao for the return leg, because Militao definitely is not starting against City in the game coming up. So, kind of hoping Tchouaméni doesn't get a yellow card. Even if Camavinga gets one, Tchouaméni can always step in the next game, and we have Militao back for the return leg. So I think that may be the way to go, play Tchouaméni, play Rudiger, Carvajal, then you have Fede. If you have Fede fully fit, you need him. You need Camavinga backing up Fulham Mendy, and Fede Valverde backing up Carvajal, because you guys are talking about the blueprint to defeat City, and you talked about how Arsenal set up with 2 banks of 5 and whatnot. But I think something that Arsenal did really well, and that was talked about enough, was the fact that they
funneling them out wide.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Worked to great effect for Arsenal at least.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they completely dominated, they completely eliminated City's ability to play in the central areas. So for me, that was a big thing, and that is why I also said that Jude Bellingham is going to be important for us, because we really need to dominate the central areas of the pitch. And if you funnel City out wide, you have Carvajal, and then you need Fede Valverde to back him up, because I think Carvajal against Grealish is going to be an interesting battle. City, for all the good that playing with the centre backs as wingers, all the good that it does is a centre back's never going to be a full back. They don't really have that same ability. So they're obviously going to be good, and they're obviously going to have their moments. It's not like they're rubbish. They are pretty good players. They're elite players, if at all. They won the Champions League, so you have to give them respect. But the thing is, it's not going to be the same output as a fullback, as an offensive fullback would bring. So for me, once you do that, once you funnel them out, there's always going to be chances. And with players like Fede and Camavinga backing up players like Mendy and Carvajal, there's always the opportunity to win the ball and quickly funnel into Toni Kroos. And like I said, Toni Kroos, quarterback, Rodrigo and Vinicius are running into half spaces. Hopefully isolate the City centre backs, and we can make a game out of it.
100%. Farouk, the striking department. Do you reckon there is a shout for Brahim Diaz, an outside shout?
Unfortunately, no. I don't think there is a shout considering the performance. At the weekend, he literally reminded everyone, that this is who he is and this is what he can do. You understand, for the amount of talent and abilities that Brahim Diaz has, in my opinion, is just like his ceiling is nowhere close to what Rodrigo can be and what Rodrigo will be. So I think the impact that Rodrigo offers is something that we can just not even think about in this game. He definitely has to be there. But on the other hand, like I think having Brahim on the bench as an option, maybe not the first, maybe the second option is something that really, really gives me a lot of confidence, honestly, because I feel like having Brahim gives you not just someone to play with, but rather it gives you a total change of play. Like it's different from what Rodrigo offers you, it's different from what Vinicius offers you, it's different from what Osilo offers you as well. So like having that someone that can change the game, change the direction of the game, I think also is something that's really, really important that cannot be discounted as well.
And I think about Rodrigo versus Brahim, you also have to consider the fact that Rodrigo gives you a lot more defensive than Brahim does. If you ask Brahim to make the same amount of effort, he's going to burn out by the 50th minute. So that's not going to happen. And man, offensively, I think we've talked about this a lot of times. We talked about this on Saturday as well. I think Rodrigo, okay, it's going to depend on the kind of instructions that he gets from the coaching team, but Rodrigo is going to give you a lot more in attack, and you need him. You need players like Benzema for the likes of Cristiano's and Bale's to succeed. You need the likes of Rodrigo for Bellingham's and Vinicius to succeed. So for me, Rodrigo, I mean, I don't really even understand why the discussion is there. Definitely, I mean, for big games. For La Liga, I understand when Rodrigo is off form, you kind of want, you want to give him a rest and see, work in training and figure out how to improve it. But in big games like this, especially against teams like City, you definitely need Rodrigo on the pitch. When you don't have a player like Benzema, you definitely need Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, Brahim and Hossil. Rodrigo is definitely going to start. But Brahim and Hossil will have a lot to say in regards to where this tie is going to swing to.
They have their own identities. They have their own characteristics that they're going to bring to the game, and they have their own tactical strengths that Real Madrid might need to utilize depending on how the game goes. But when you're starting off, you definitely want to put you want to put your front foot out. You want to put your best foot
100%.
out. So for me, there's no question that Rodrigo Vinicius is the best foot Real Madrid have.
100%. Over to you, Steve. Take it away. The city puzzle is looking super spicy, especially considering like guys like Kyle Walker's missing, John Stones is slowly coming back to fitness, and the availability of Ederson and whatnot. But talk us through, man. Like how do you reckon City is gonna line up on Tuesday?
Well, Ederson is apparently going to be fit, but Ortega's not put a foot wrong since he's gone in, so don't expect Ederson to just come straight back in.
Do you reckon Ortega basically allows you to play the same way that Ederson does? Like, is it close? Is it at least?
Ederson's a better ball-playing goalkeeper, but actual goalkeeping stuff, shot stopping, saving, things like that, which Ederson gets criticised for, Ortega's good at. So I think Man City fans are both comfortable with or without. But Ederson, obviously, the way we play, maybe if Madrid are putting a lot of pressure on us at the Bernabeu, just to dink them passes over, press, and get us breaking, he might go with Ederson. So I'll say I think it's going to be Ederson in net. I think it's going to be Guardiola at left back, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Akanji at right back. I feel like it's going to be Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Foden on the right, Grealish on the left, Haaland up front. I think
you reckon Ake is going to drop out?
I think Ake is injured, so.
Oh yeah. Like you don't think he's going to recover in time, yeah?
I don't think so. So
but if he was in the equation, he would definitely start, right?
Yeah. Experience-wise, he would do. He maybe even start centre back with Diaz, and Stones might not make it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of. But I think if that team's good enough, I think it's got everything in there. Bernardo Silva's energy in the middle of the park, with Kevin De Bruyne creativity and Rodri defensive, and you've got Phil Foden out on the right. He's not as good on the right. For me.
He's just. I think his effectiveness on the general play is nullified to a great extent when he's pushed out wide. He's so incremental to what you do well down the middle. Like I'm not so sure why Pep decided to play him out on the wing.
You get him on the pitch
against Arsenal.
You can maybe as the game goes on, if Bernardo needs a little bit of a break, Bernardo could just fly out onto the right. Foden can come inside. If Kevin De Bruyne has to go off and we need a bit more steel in the middle, he could maybe put Foden in the middle, bring Doku on the right. So there's a lot of different options City have got, but I just feel it's all about getting the result. Listen, he might go there and say, you know what, Erling Haaland's not playing. We're having a false nine, keeping it fluid, and we're going to pass. We're going to make Real Madrid work hard for the ball, and that could happen. Then we could go to the Etihad, and it could be Erling Haaland time, and let's try and push it there. We just don't know, but this is why it's intriguing and fascinating. I'm sure Pep's got a lot of crazy ideas in his brain, and I'm sure we'll see on Tuesday.
Fair play, man. I guess I'll stick with you for the predictions for the first leg. Let's leave the second leg and the overall predictions for the second preview. But for this first leg, what do you reckon is going to happen?
I think it's going to be 1-1, and I think that's a great result for us.
It was the same prediction. Was it last season as well?
Can't remember.
Mm.
I remember, but I feel like we're good enough to go there, stock it up a little bit. We've got to be clever, it's all right. We all want your team to go and attack in a Champions League game, but when it's two legs, you get a second bite of the cherry. The last thing you want to do is kill yourself in the first game, give yourself no chance. I feel like we've got to come away from the Bernabeu Tuesday night, smiling, thinking it's all on us now at the Etihad to get the job done.
Fair play. Farouk, man, talk to us. What's your prediction for Tuesday?
Oh, I think it's a Real Madrid victory, a 1-0 victory. I look towards that. It's nothing too fancy, but yeah, just get a job done and hopefully take a lead to the second, to the Etihad and see how we can go.
A 1-0 lead won't be sufficient, but yeah.
I'll take that.
Bro, a 1-0 lead, bro. Like the thing is that a 1-0 lead is something we have to take up. I mean, the point is I don't.
Obviously, if you ask me now, like I would take it, but we all know that's not gonna be enough. I don't.
Of course, definitely, but the point is that you're not gonna expect like what happened last year to happen, and then we go and like they just spatter us 4-0. I think that's not gonna happen. It happened once, and it's not gonna repeat itself again. As Steve said, it was a shock. This literally, it was a hurricane. Literally, it's something that hit you. You don't even know it was coming. So I think it's gonna be different. But
don't get it twisted. City can still do that to any side, even this season. No matter how humble Steve can, be on this preview,
I feel
City
like
still can do that.
Erling Haaland is loading for something, and I feel like someone's going to cop for something bad soon. I'm not saying that's Real Madrid. It might be Crystal Palace tomorrow, but I just feel like Erling Haaland, every time people have written him off, he's bounced back with something crazy, and I feel like he's due one of these mad nights. And someone's copying for a Norwegian hurricane soon.
Yeah,
I hope it's not against us, but
writing off. But that's the thing, like, people have already written us off before this tie as well. So I feel like that's the thing, like, 4-0 last year actually kind of posed a lot of, it's just, fraud, and what happened with in 22 was just, luck and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of feel like, people are expecting something similar to happen. Like, even if we have I think even if we have a 2-0 victory,
right,
people in England will still be like, yeah, Real Madrid are out, that's the thing.
I
kind of feel like, even with the 1-0 victory,
but let me
go there and get a job.
Let me tell you, Farouk, right? People in general, especially people tuning in across Europe, they'll be surprised by the way how effective this shape might. Like, I don't really see, like, my biggest fear leading up to this run-in was, how we are going to handle City's onslaughts, right? Like, but I reckon people are going to be surprised if things go to plan and we kind of, neutralize them well enough. They'll be surprised by how much we contain City because of our shape, because of how our, especially our individual specimens like Fede and Chouameni, are going to be key.
That's I'm going to counter you and tell you, actually, my fear is that if things go to plan, I pray things do not go to plan, because I do not trust in the plan that Carlo Ancelotti have. That's just 100%. I do hope that, the players can do something and, show the values, because I feel like, players like Jude Bellingham and, Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo, I think like these are moments that they are born for, you understand? So I feel like if we can get, moments of individual brilliance from them here and there at the Etihad, I think we will go through. But I feel like with Carlo, I just do not have any expectation other than, just sitting back 5 lines of 5 bosses, 2 lines of 5s with 2 bosses and stuff like that. So yeah, and I just don't know, I think that doesn't play to the strength of our team, in my opinion. But yeah, that's why I said to you, like, I do hope that the plan doesn't work, and our players just improvise.
Fair enough. More
prediction.
Prediction and general final thoughts, basically.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about, especially after what Farouk has said. So, but I'm gonna save that for another day. For
the second leg, save it for the second leg.
Yeah, for now, for me, I kind of have to go with what Big Steve said. 1-1 draw is what I expect. I mean, if you look at it, you might be thinking, 1-1 draw at the Bernabeu, not a good result for Real Madrid. But I think in hindsight, it's gonna be a good result, because this is a game you have to remember of 2 legs. and Real Madrid definitely we had a bad we had a bad outing at the Etihad, and if memory serves me right, we haven't actually won a game at the Etihad. So at some point in time, that streak has to end. I don't know if it's gonna be this year. Like Big Steve said, Erling Haaland, he's ramping up for something big, so it could be against us. But then equally, in an opposite manner, it could end up that Real Madrid finally break their curse at the Etihad and we finally win a game there.
Cheeky from my boy Rodrigo, who put out that tweet when this draw was announced. Like I'm watching him. He better step up. Like I don't know if you guys remember his tweet when the draw was made.
Yeah, for me personally, the way I think Ancelotti is going to approach it is going to be a 1-1 draw. Real Madrid, I'm going to be gung-ho. They're going to be a little bit cautious, and Farouk might not like it, but I think Real Madrid always defended two banks of four with Vinicius and Rodrigo, further forward. This year, maybe Rodrigo in this game is probably a little bit more, shows a little bit more defensive work rate. Vinicius is going to be unfettered, and we'll try to take advantage of it. But for me, going to this game, 1-1 draw, I think that's going to be the result.
What tweet did he put? What tweet?
It was just a couple of emojis, a fire and basically a smirk or something. So basically, he's like he wanted this, or he's looking forward to, facing City again. Probably, like I'm not gonna explicitly say it, but that's in our hearts, right?
Yeah.
Like once we do the job, we're gonna just claim Lannister sends their regards. But now we gotta act coy. Like we can't really.
I mean, just
put our chests out.
We don't need too many Salah in the team, because we've all seen what happens when you go talking about revenges. So this is definitely going to be a revenge game. What you have to say is like City deserved to win last year, and this year we're going to give them a fight. City are the best team in Europe currently. I mean, you're the champions of Europe, so you are definitely the best team in Europe. And we're going to take a game to the best team in Europe, and Real Madrid have a history of doing it. So let's hope it's a good game.
Can't wait.
We need to reclaim our throne. That's one, riling. I don't know. Final speech. I would, tell the boys that we need to reclaim our throne. Steve knows that he's sitting on our throne. Steve knows it. He just knows it.
It's comfortable.
He just knows it, that it's only a matter of time. So I just hope this is the year, when they, are, kind of riding the wave and kind of looking a bit iffy about, how confident they can be. I think this is our chance to, slowly push in the dagger. But it was an absolute pleasure. Again, Steve, blockbuster as always. I know we kind of went overboard with time, but this was too good. I think we have pretty much covered all of our bases.
Only for you guys. Otherwise,
100%.
I'll be sending you an invoice.
Fair enough. I hope it doesn't break our banks, but
you're all good,
big
mate.
up, Steve.
I enjoyed it, mate. Listen, everybody enjoyed the game, and I've told your man on the ground in Madrid to come and see us on Sunday or Monday night, so he's going to come and find us.
Steve, when do you land? Like, if I don't mind you asking.
Tomorrow, Sunday afternoon.
So lunch. So you mean before 2 or 3? Yeah.
Yes. We're going. Probably go to Playmail Square and meet everybody there, and then we're just usual. It's like we go there every year, so we know where we're going. But if your guy wants to come, I will introduce him to a lot of the City fans. I'll make sure a lot of the guys speak to him.
Just don't be too hostile on my boy. Yeah, that's the only thing.
If you beat us, then he's getting kidnapped, and we're gonna.
Fair enough. You're gonna come to our turf and basically try to pull the gangster shit. Yeah.
We are English, and we might take him to the pub, and we might get him. And he might end up in a City shirt, and we'll get some pictures and bribe you with him.
Fair enough. I think you've laid out the plans pretty well, to be honest. But again, man, Steve, gotta extend our warmest hugs, man. Like always. Go follow Steve. The link is in the description below. If you guys enjoyed the preview, smash the likes, especially for Big Steve. Subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 2K. Also, super humbling to cross 50,000 plays last week on our audio platforms. It was a long time coming, and this here is basically our biggest well-wisher out there. So yeah, man, much love. But hopefully we can link up before the second leg, right, Steve? If the schedule is okay.
Yeah, no problem. We'll do it 100%. Maybe we get you on my channel, get you over as well.
100%. I just hope it doesn't turn into a war like last time, because I tend to get a bit carried away with my
Yeah,
takes.
the City fans, these cocky Real Madrid guys coming over here. Well, they have 14 Champions League, so I'll be allowed to be a bit cocky.
Fair enough. I just hope everyone takes it in the right spirits.
Good. Yeah, of course. Listen, I'm looking forward to it. I'll try and send you some footage out there, and like you say, your guy on the ground, whatever content he needs, I'll make sure the lads look after him, and we'll get some good stuff over there for you.
100% appreciate it, Steve. But yeah, boys, a big tie on Tuesday. Just a couple of days. It's gonna be massive. It's almost becoming the European Classico. I know Bayern Madrid is the European Classico, but this is up there. This is up there with the very best ties in recent memory, and this is not gonna be one to miss. Never gonna disappoint. This tie never really disappoints. The drama, the tension. I know guys like Walker and Vinny act friendly, but out on the pitch everybody would want to prove a point, especially us at home. Until next time, people. Hala Madrid.
Madrid.
Real Madrid.